Melanin Peak is located on the eastern edge of Banff National Park, west of the Panther Corners Flues and above Snow Creek Summit. Its closest neighbors include Prow Mountain to the northwest, Mount White to the north, and Mounts Gable and Dormer to the east. Despite a lingering snowpack in the Rockies, Wietze and I set out to tag the peak on June 26, 2022. We biked the familiar, for me, it was Wietze's first time, 14 kilometers through the Tinda Ranch to the Banff boundary before hiking up the Red Deer River on the old Cascade Fire Road. After crossing the major bridge near Scotch Camp, we continued up the trail to Snow Creek Summit, before branching off trail to Grouse Lake. From the lake, the ascent was very straightforward to the lofty summit with great evening views. Wietze picked me up at 6:30, and by 9 o'clock we were biking across the Tinda Ranch towards the eastern Banff boundary and Bison Gate. It was Wietze's first time on this approach, and it felt like my 100th, but was only around my 8th.
Why do we do this?
Fine, I'll close the gate. Assuming it was closed. Get over.
It took us only an hour to arrive at the eastern Banff Park boundary and the start of our 25-kilometer hike to Grouse Lake.
Well, hopefully they wouldn't give a permit if it was.
Huh?
Hopefully they wouldn't give a permit if it was closed. You have to do the same that I did. Just the unimportant ones.
What?
Oh, you don't want to fall in this thing.
We were delighted to spot the bison herd along the way and watched while they ambled along the edge of a willowy meadow near the Red Deer River.
Huh. That's basically a baseball bat.
Really?
I had to fight it off with a, and then it would be good for a week or 2 weeks, and then it would do it again. I was only 40 or 50.
Wait 100 years.
I bet. And
you're a long ways past Warden Rock now. Better on soft snow than hard though.
Yeah, I don't want to
get there when I get there. See, this hole has got to be bison, eh?
closer to Lake Louise than
Yeah.
you are to Banff.
Yeah, by quite a bit.
Yeah.
Huh.
Interesting, eh?
Yeah, it is interesting. You certainly wouldn't think that coming in from the east.
No.
Right?
I could.
After a couple of hours of steady hiking on the hard road surface, we finally approached the scenic bridge over the Red Deer River. The next 2 hours were a hot uphill grind from the bridge to Snow Creek Summit, sitting between Grouse Peak to the east and Snowflake Peak to the west.
That's very well built. Oh.
Not too late. Why would they?
Exactly.
What?
Willowy meadows drape the pass area with incredible views south to Melanin, Panther, and Puma Mountain.
Yeah, you're almost saying just go right up that rocky bit. Forget the gully.
Forget the gully, maybe.
After passing a distinctive pointy hill west of the lake, we turned left and started up willowy slopes through a burnt forest towards the still unseen lake. After 7 hours of steady travel, it started feeling like we were really out there at this point, and I suppose we were.
People have been up there.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Soon enough, we were hiking along the shores of a very surprisingly large and colorful grouse lake.
Okay, let's try to find a spot. Obviously not here. Looks like there might be some promise on that grassy. Yeah.
So far, the big rock was the best spot.
With perfect weather and plenty of time remaining, it was only logical to start up our destination peak for a late afternoon ascent.
Because doesn't that just look too tempting?
A little longer.
Agreed.
Sitting in camps and
As we rounded the corner, our first views of the northwest bowl were extremely promising. Sure, there was snow, but it was confined to the gully bottom, and there was an obvious shallow slab and rubble ridge above the snow to climbers' left that was just too tempting to pass up.
go to the screen because the screen is soft.
Yeah, I know. A little too soft for my liking on the way up, but
The ridge was an excellent choice and we rapidly gained height in warm sunshine on dry rock, which felt great. An upper northwest ridge led us towards a very nice summit block with great views south over the Panther River up Wigmore Creek. Cliffs dropped steeply down the east face to Elkhorn Pass and summit below.
I'm staying some of the way.
We exclaimed more than once how lucky we were with the conditions and lack of snow on this almost 3,000 meter peak as we ascended the final few vertical meters to a small cairn placed by Cornelius Rott a year previous.
whew. Good job, buddy.
We decided to try the snow in the northwest gully for our descent since we'd lugged the crampons all the way in here. It worked, but the snow was getting soft by the time we finally exited the last of it.
There's actually not a lot of grizzly sign up here. Just the odd digging.
More along the trail.
Oh yeah.
33,000 steps now.
The ascent of Melanin Peak had taken us less than 3.5 hours round trip from camp, so we were left with hours of daylight to enjoy the peaceful lake, and we did just that. We planned an early wake-up at our camp to give Weetza plenty of time to ascend Grouse Peak while I would explore off-trail to Snowflake Lake.
I don't think there was a major fire either.
After hiking back up the Cascade Fire Road to Snow Creek Summit, I bid adieu to Weetza and turned left, off-trail towards a hidden Snowflake Lake under its impressive namesake peak. We agreed to meet back up at the bridge over the Red Deer River since I could be more than an hour ahead of Weetza.
Over.
After hiking through tons of fresh grizzly sign, I was surprised to see the lake was still half frozen. Even more surprising, however, was an aluminum fishing boat sitting on the lakeshore. I found out later that it is likely from Dr. David Schindler's environmental studies from the University of Calgary.
Good.
The next 2 hours or so were perfect solo hiking back down the fire road. A lone bull bison surprised me on the trail near the bridge, wandering out of the forest and immediately dashing off down the trail as soon as he saw me. There were no more surprises as I passed by Scotch Camp and set up a large yard sale in the warm sun at the bridge, drying out my frost-soaked gear. I managed to get some neat photos of the bridge and the river flowing underneath it. After an hour or so, Weetza showed up and we chilled for another 30 minutes before reluctantly realizing we should likely start the death march back to our distant bikes. As we left the bridge, we were still in that early stage of starting a hike, adjusting packs and poles and getting our legs back into regular motion. In other words, not yelling. I looked up from a pack adjustment and stared right into the eyes of a large grizzly coming quickly towards us just uphill of the bridge. I stopped and whispered urgently to Weetza that there was a bear dead ahead around the corner. We didn't immediately start yelling or bailing off the trail for 2 reasons. I knew the bear had seen us. He looked right in my eyes and quickly halted. I didn't want to overdo the aggression, and I didn't want to panic off trail just to run into a worried bear. I decided the right thing to do was to let the bear figure out what to do. We slowly walked back up the trail, making low noises before a big brown head popped over an embankment above the trail to our right, staring right at us, and seemingly positively underwhelmed at our presence. Uh-oh.
Yeah, good boy.
The next 60 seconds or so were a bit tense. The bear didn't love the fact that he had to go around us and growled loudly to let us know what he thought of the whole situation.
And I've seen my dad swat a black bear over the nose with a frying pan.
A black bear?
Yep, because it was trying to steal their breakfast.
Oh.
Get out of here, smack! Everyone else was cowering in the truck.
As we continued on our hike, we mused about how quickly the bear could have charged us with dire consequence. I also mused that for the previous hour or so I'd been casually lounging around the bridge without the bear spray handy, all alone with gear scattered all over the place. Some days you just get lucky, I guess. The bikes were a sight for sore legs, and the 14-kilometer ride back was quick and enjoyable. The Tinda Ranch zipped by on either side of the road until reaching the short, rough section before Skeleton Creek. Here we were treated to yet more wildlife, this time a large herd of wild elk grazing under Jap Mountain.
How you doing? Hey guys, how are you? Okay, that's a little different than the bear. Oh boy, you're gonna shake yourself. Oh shit. Don't shake yourself. Don't do it. There you go.
We zipped into a busy Bighorn Creek parking lot at around 1500 hours for a total trip time of around 30 hours in perfect early summer conditions. Another great adventure up the Cascade Fire Road.